What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down the 8-game Tuesday NBA DFS slate. It's never good when you're looking in your folder of a player you have 2% of who's much higher owned than that to be like, man, what do my lineups look like with him? But that is the situation I'm in with Svi Mykhailiuk. Malachi Flynn. Malachi Brown. I don't even know if that's a real person. Malachi Flynn, I'm pretty sure, had he been starting, I would have had like 100%. It's just so sad. Curious to hear kind of how your lineups turned out.
I have no idea because everything's just going all simultaneously.
It's true.
It could go great. It could go bad. It could go in between. Who knows? And then there's this weird 8 p.m. Eastern late night hammer with Kelly Olynyk, Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder.
It's less of a hammer and more of a dull saw is kind of the way that I look at it. I need the Rockets to cover 14.5. That's all I know. My betting went great today. The Cubs are up big right now. Trevor Williams is pitching great. All the things are great. The only thing I feel like it just sucks when you're on a live before a lock and you recommend fading a guy who just is like the absolute nuts on FanDuel right now. So Svi Mykhailiuk, thanks so much for deciding to play basketball today of all days. It's just disgusting. But yeah, no, late night hammer, get out of here. We're doing this now so we can get to that Gonzaga game right away. And it is the Gonzaga game because I hope they blast Baylor. But before we get started, get down to that bottom bar, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, big time hit that if you're watching us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. We are sponsored today by monkeyknifefight.com. Head over there, use promo code Awesemo. That's AWESEMO. You know how to spell it by now. Go over there, use that promo code for a $50 first deposit bonus. Play all of the lovely props that they have going over there. NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, UFC. They've got something for everybody. They also sponsor Charlie Hoffman on the PGA Tour, so I want to let it be known. They do a great job with him. He's got it on his sleeve. I saw it all weekend at the Valero Texas Open. So that's some energy you want a part of. So you ready to get started, my dude?
Let's do it.
Let's ride. Top end of point guard like we always do. DraftKings. Steph Curry. We've got news already that he's going to be in 9,700 against Milwaukee. They need to start winning games. Lots of coach speak going around there. And by coach speak, I mean Steph Curry and Draymond Green speak, who have just basically been saying we got to play better and that this is garbage and everybody else is needing to pick it up. Damian Lillard, 9,400. We're seeing that price tag start to come down. Going up against Paul George, that's always fun to watch because all I ever think about is that shot he hit over him from basically half court in the playoffs against OKC. Different situation, different teams. Definitely like the Clippers, but Damian Lillard, 9,400, we know the kind of ceiling he can have. And then 9,100 Trae Young, I expect him to be popular up against New Orleans, even though he just came off of maybe the most disappointing game of the season for anybody who rostered him. 28 minutes, 18.5 DraftKings points. Pretty tough to replicate how bad that is. Talk to me about the top end of point guard.
Yeah, obviously a ton of quality players on the top end of point guard. Going to guys like Curry or Dame, I mean, they could definitely put up the ceiling of like the highest scoring player on the slate. And Trae Young, I think, considering him just because of recency bias alone, is something that's I would have interest in. So those guys all stand out, and obviously all are matchup proof players in my opinion. So, and on both sides, really, I think we can consider them mixing and matching. Obviously, it's going to be a fun ownership game. It'll be interesting to see where the ownership comes in on a guy like Trae Young after he burned so many people the other night. So that's how I kind of feel about the top end.
No, we're gonna go down to that middle end. You just threw me on the spot. I didn't see you just stopping there on the top end. So moving our way down, you're looking at a situation where like Boston now has 1 million bodies there. Marcus Smart down there to 28, 27 minutes the last two, given their blowouts. Kemba Walker's still there, 6,600. How's Evan Fournier doing? Does he have a pulse? I haven't even looked because he's not like remotely been a guy that I've been trying to play. He's played better of late, so that's good to know. But there are just 1 million bodies that exist there now. It's going to be tough for me to want to play any of those Celtics. 8-game slate, plenty of places to go. Going down a little bit further, New Orleans is a team that we got to talk about. Alonzo Ball, at 7,500, just completely went nuclear. I expect him to be positive or to be highly owned. Isaiah Thomas, why is he 5,100 on DraftKings? That's like the most stay away price that I've ever seen. What does that look? It's just not good. That's a bad number. I don't know why they're doing that to us, because it would have been fun to play Isaiah Thomas at what, 4K, 3,500 even. It would have to be 3,500 for me to probably fire that up. Is that about right?
Yeah, that sounds just about right. Obviously, a lot of news in that situation. Obviously, Kyra Lewis is not playing for them. I believe he's doubtful. Now, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been ruled out with that ankle injury. Now, Alonzo Ball put on a show for us. No minutes limit after missing 2 weeks. Shout out to the Pelicans training staff to bring him back fully loaded. We had the information that he was going to not be on a minutes limit. Man, I didn't expect he was going to play 36 and a half minutes, though, so we'll take that. Looking at other guys in that similar price range, John Morant in a tough Miami matchup, the ultimate GPP play, in my opinion, priced at $7,200 over there on DraftKings. Spinning down, I'll have interest in Brogdon if he were to go. Matchup against Chicago, I think that's a pretty fair price to target Brogdon. I know people have been disappointed with his performance with the addition of Karis LeVert, but I think a matchup against Chicago, we should definitely consider him a solid option at that price tag. Marcus Smart, 5,600 against Philadelphia. The thing with Marcus Smart, his minutes are pretty solid, man. It's tough for me not to like a $5,600 Marcus Smart. And spending all the way down, we're going to have the Malachi Flynn experience yet again tomorrow. $3,900, a matchup versus the Lakers. So keep that in mind as you build your lineups. We saw Bembry start today, put everyone in a loop for him. People who were on Flynn had to hop off. I mean, they were concerned what the minutes were look like, but the guy decided to ball out. So that's where we stand with Malachi Flynn. I think if we get some certainty in his performance today, he might end up being a very, very high owned. So we'll see what that final performance ends up being like.
Yeah, he's up to 5,100 though on FanDuel now. So that might be something you at least have to think about. But yeah, if he's going to play as well as he did today, obviously fire that up. It was very sad. I am going to say Isaiah Thomas is 3,900 over on FanDuel. Well played, FanDuel. Actually, I don't know. I might want to try to dip in the kiddie pool for 20 minutes of the kiddie of Isaiah Thomas, the literal little man. It would just be fun to see him go for. We have no idea what he's going to look like. Can we get some game shooting tape of him? See what he looks like with that hip. See if he's back to fully operational. This is way more Isaiah Thomas talk than I was ever planning on in a million years. I apologize to everybody. I'm probably not going to play Isaiah Thomas, letting it be known. Anybody else you want to touch base on our way out?
Yeah, so taking a look at FanDuel pricing. Drew Holiday, shout out to him. Got that massive, massive contract. Going to be way too expensive for my liking. Dennis Schroeder matchup versus Toronto will be unique. Okay, now $7,400 Ben Simmons. I'm going to go there. I've been riding and dying with this guy for about 2.5 weeks.
Mainly dying.
Mainly dying. Now that price tag is too cheap for my liking. I'm going to be pretty excited to roster Ben Simmons at that price tag. I'll definitely consider him a great option. I hate to say it, if all those guys are out yet again, Eric Bledsoe is going to just play a metric ton of minutes. And I think there's a pathway of being fantasy viable at that price tag at $5,800 over there on FanDuel. Under cheaper options, tough to really consider anyone else below 4K or even in that range. Edmund Sumner, if Brogdon were to be out, I think we can consider him as a tournament option at $4,000. But McConnell, someone who obviously you feel a lot more confident in his floor. If Brogdon were to be out at $5,600, I think is a fine option as well.
Edmund Sumner, yep. Wasn't he in your lineup on the DK on Saturday? Yeah, he was. You absolute genius, you. All right, top end of shooting guard, Paul George, 8,700. Karis LeVert, 8K. Wowzer. What a big price tag on Karis LeVert, but 51.3 last time out. Going to play uppers 30 minutes. He looks really good. He's very good at basketball, and Chicago is not. So let's do it. CJ McCollum now 7,900 up against the Clippers. I think that there's a leverage to be had there. Andrew Wiggins 7,600. I don't know how in the world I'm going to possibly get to that. And then Fred VanVleet. We'll see if he ends up giving it a go. It is a back-to-back for Toronto, so maybe they were resting him to play on the second half of it here. We shall see, but 7,400, I would be all over that against a Lakers team that is not the genuine Lakers that we think of. Talk to me about the top end of shooting guard.
Yeah, Paul George, 8,700. $8,700 a matchup versus Portland. I'll be willing to pay for that price tag. Hopefully, it comes in a bit lower owned. Paul George has 50 plus a fantasy point upside. There's no denying that. Someone who's been playing pretty well this year, so I like that as an option. Spending down, McCollum against the Clippers on the other side. 7,900 is all right. I think if we get no Brogdon, then going to Karis LeVert at 8K would be my preference. If VanVleet were to play, I would expect he'd be fully ready to play, in my opinion. I know it's a lower body injury, but if they're just going to rest him, we'll see what ends up being the final call by Nick Nurse. But in the training staff, $7,400 is a great VanVleet price tag. Even a $7,200 Levine. I know it's not going to be as fun to roster him with Vooch in the picture, but he was good the last 2 times out. Tough Utah matchup at times for him, but Brooklyn, he still found a way to get to 34 fantasy points in 35 minutes. Obviously, you would like him at that price tag tomorrow to get you north of 40. He just has that upside in him. Spending down on FanDuel, it's tough. I think a guy like Will Barton makes for a fine consideration. DiVincenzo and Dylan Brooks in that price range as well. That's really about it. No one else really stands out to me. If you think Seth Curry can get hot from the outside, that's a okay consideration. Now, Detroit, there's a good chance Diallo might not play on a back-to-back. They've not done that the last couple of times out. It would interest me in a guy to get burned yet again by Josh Jackson, just because of the minutes that might open up for him in that Detroit situation. Taking a look over there in shooting guard on DraftKings, Paul George, 8,100. Definitely so far to the 2 positions. One of my favorite plays on the slate over there on DraftKings. Spending down to guys like Middleton, LeVert, make a lot of sense to me. Even Jaylen Brown, that mid-tier and shooting guard, that up, like those mid-tier guys on the slate definitely seem like solid options over there. In shooting guard, spending down, really no one really stands out to me at their price tag. That's really about it. I'm going to be willing to find ways to get George, Middleton, Levine, LeVert, mainly over there on DK. Is there anyone that I missed on that DraftKings shooting guard position that stands out to you, Eric?
Yeah, Levine's starting to get some better run here of late. 31, 35 minutes, not being piss poor like he's been for the last couple weeks. So that excites me to see a price tag. 7,200 is a prime spot to buy low on him. Compared to what we know he can be. Obviously, it's very, very different with Nikola Vucevic there, but is what it is. Josh Jackson, 4,400. I like that over there as well. DeAndre Bembry, 3,700. If he's starting again, you can punt in that direction. But I guess the last 2 guys to bring up kind of together, Grayson Allen and Desmond Bain. Grayson Allen, 26 minutes, 34. I don't expect that, but he's 4,700. You could do worse. I think I would even rather take a shot on him than Seth Curry, but that is all dependent on ownership, which we obviously do not have here at the moment. That's about it from me. You ready to move along to small forward?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Also, something you should do is you should head over and take advantage of the Dustin promo. That's DUSTIN. If you are not a member of Awesemo Plus and you want to try out the golf package for the Masters, which I strongly suggest doing, and not only for the Masters, but we've got a bunch of other tournaments that are coming down the pipeline for the next 2 months. That'll basically lead you all the way up right to the front door of the U.S. Open. Make sure that you use the promo code Dustin, and that's a buy one, get one free of the Awesemo Plus golf package, all the projections, all of the, we're going to have a strategy, we're going to have a syllabus that we're putting together for the Masters here, a couple of the golf guys and I'm going to be doing the live before lock on Wednesday with Alex and Ben Raza, Dr. Ben Raza, put some respect on that name, but we've got all of the goodies here at Awesemo for the golf package. Jason Roslin heading a lot of what we do over there. Absolute genius, been absolutely fire. Max is now a part of us too. Part of our group, just an unbelievable DFS golf player. So take advantage of that right now. I believe it's $29.95 for a month, and you get a whole nother month added on top of that. So use that promo code Dustin and stop guessing and start winning. And you want to win for the Masters. 3 milli makers, let's go. Top end of small forward, Kawhi Leonard, 9,200 against Portland. Jimmy Butler, 9K up against Memphis. Ben Simmons, 8,500. Tobias Harris, 8,300. Those two have been those last 2 have been disappointing with Joel Embiid out, but I don't know. I think Joel Embiid's probably going to be good to go. Obviously, he sat out the last time. Played against Minnesota on the 3rd. Sat out yesterday on the back-to-back. I think he'll probably be good to go, so that'll mitigate any risk I have to have on them on DraftKings. Ben Simmons 7,400 though on FanDuel is still scary at that point guard position. But anywho, I kind of just don't really know what to think about that top end. I mean, Kawhi 9,200 is advantageous. Jimmy Butler 9K, but kind of everybody there with Oladipo and Bam and all of the usual casting characters. So maybe tough to be spending up there. Probably looking like a punt position again. Talk to me about small forward.
Yeah, small forward over there on DraftKings. Love the $9,200 Kawhi Leonard price tag. Someone who I've been consistently well over the field on. He's so consistent. And these Clippers team of late, they've been like playing a lot of close games just because of the injury situation they've dealt with. And it's just worked out for those studs on their team whenever that's happening. I think spending down to guys like in the mid-tier, Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons over there on DraftKings seem a tad too expensive with Embiid back in the picture, but they're great tournament options. Jaylen Brown, 7,600 in that same game. I like quite a bit. Middleton can get going against that Golden State team. If Brandon Ingram were to play $8,100 versus Atlanta, hopefully it's all systems go, no minutes limit for him. We'll see what ends up happening. Jeremy Grant versus his former team at $6,900 makes for a very good small forward option over there on DraftKings. And the cheaper options to take a look at over there on DK, everyone seems to be priced pretty appropriately. Norman Powell, someone who's been getting a ton of minutes in that new role in Portland, is an okay consideration. Saddiq Bey at 4,300, just a guy who's going to get minutes, and there's a chance he could get 30 plus fantasy points.
Just a guy. I love that.
That's just a guy, honestly.
It's just a guy. I mean, he's a rookie. We're not going to call him just a guy yet. I think Frank Jackson is just a guy.
I got to give Saddiq Bey credit. He did win Eastern Conference Player of the Week one week, so he definitely did get that award earlier in the year. Pretty remarkable from Saddiq Bey at this moment. But looking at the small forward position on FanDuel, Kawhi Leonard 9,500, Jimmy Butler 9,100. Great spend up options. Spending down. Wow, OG Anunoby's up to 8K now. Wow, go figure. 7,600 Middleton. Love it. I love that Middleton price tag. Kuzma's still getting a lot of shots up there. And cheaper options, I think, to consider over there on FanDuel. Kyle Anderson, someone who's just been really good of late. It's tough to fun watch. It's not very fun watching slow-mo, but someone who's been pretty good. How you can't really avoid that situation. Saddiq Bey, just a guy again at $4,400 on FanDuel, I think is a option to spend down. But anyone else in the cheaper options below $4,400 Saddiq Bey that you have any interest in?
I have a guy.
I
have one guy. I don't like it. It feels really, really gross, and I don't want you to make fun of me, but his name is Troy Brown Jr. He plays for the Chicago Bulls. He just played 28 minutes against Brooklyn in a close game. Only put up 16.75, but he's 3,100 over on DraftKings. He is the Stoneman 3,500 at a small forward position we already don't like over on FanDuel. I'm not sure about all of the circumstances surrounding that, but he's somebody that I had circled because 28 minutes is 28 minutes, and at the min or the near floor on DK, I think that should probably garner some attention. I don't know what you think about that, but I didn't really know what to make of that. But I like saving the 600 and going down to him from Justin Holiday on FanDuel. What do you think about that?
No, that's a great option. I do think it'll benefit him more if Kobe White doesn't play, just because being another guy in the rotation. If Kobe White to be out, I think that's a great value option to consider. We haven't really mentioned anyone at that price range over there on DraftKings, so I think that's a great option to consider. Great call.
Hey, blind squirrel, acorn, it's just that whole thing. Apparently, I've been making a lot of dad jokes today. Between the tip-off into the live before lock, I didn't make any dad jokes at live before lock. I kept it professional. I kept it very, very professional for Josh Engelman because he has the Process Show. Make sure you check that out in the mornings if you aren't already. A great companion item, I would say, to the Slate Starter podcast. How about that segue? Going to the top end of power forward over on FanDuel, we keep hopping back and forth. Giannis Antetokounmpo has that GTD next to his name. He is currently probable, so he's going to give it a go. 11,200. Love it. Sign me up. Zion continues to be questionable. He's considered questionable with this thumb injury. 9,700. two big names to have up top there, both in fantastic spots. Golden State playing up in pace. There's no resistance from Draymond Green or James Wiseman to try to guard Giannis. Just good luck with that, guys. Jason Adams all the 9,200. I'm probably going to be passing in that direction. With all of the bodies up there, that seems like an easy stay away. And then Domantas Sabonis is questionable. I would have had some interest against Chicago. Felt like that would have been a spot I would go to. But if he's out, we got to start considering more Miles Turner or some of these other guys as well. Doug McDermott's been filling in pretty well there, playing a little bit in smaller ball lineups. Well, not smaller is a relative term, but Miles Turner been playing the 5 there. Talk to me about the top end of power forward.
Yeah, top end of power forward. Taking a look at things over there on FanDuel. Giannis, fantastic option against Golden State. They played on Christmas Day, and Milwaukee obliterated this Golden State team. So keep in mind that matchup. Other guys in that price tag that stick out, Sabonis and Tatum Price similarly. If Sabonis were to play, I'd definitely have some interest in him. He's still questionable the way things stand. Jeremy Grant, 6,400. Really like that price tag. Power forward is a bit tough tomorrow, man. Usually a position where I like targeting. Other guys, I think Daniel Tice being ruled out for Chicago might open up more minutes for the Chicago front court. We might get some marketing at the 5 because of that. It'll be interesting to see what Billy D does with that rotation tomorrow, if with no Dan Tice. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening. And if I believe Plumlee was on a back-to-back, and that's why they rested him, and he should play tomorrow. If not, Isaiah Stewart is going to have the challenge of guarding Nikola Jokic. So $3,700 still. I think he'll make for a great value option if no Plumlee's there. But man, is he going to be able to handle the Joker tomorrow? That'll be something that we'll have to keep an option open for. So
we're gonna say no. Doug McDermott's 4,200 down there. He would be slotting in. Played 28 and 27 minutes here of late. You could see maybe a little extra run there with Sabonis out, but not somebody I'm like gung-ho to be beating the door down to play. What I did find interesting was the Pelicans moved FanDuel moved the Pelicans Jackson Hayes to power forward. He's 4,800 there. They basically had a 2-center lineup. They went back to the DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis route. It was just flat out Jackson Hayes and Steven Adams, the Twin Towers, wouldn't you think? Like that was a little hyperbole, but you know what I mean. That's not the worst spot in the entire world. Serge Ibaka continues to be out. Marcus Morris plays late 20s minutes. It was more intriguing when you had either one of Paul George or Kawhi Leonard off the floor, but you could still do worse than taking a couple shots on him at 4,900 on FanDuel. Is there anybody down there below on the bottom end other than Isaiah Stewart who had 3,700 if you got no Plumlee? I believe it was just a scheduled rest day for him, so I'm guessing he'll be back. But is there anybody else down here that you'd be looking at? Because it looks gross.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's a gross spot. Maybe there's some value that opens up in the news. I mean, there's a number of games tomorrow, but man, spending up for those studs over there that we mentioned makes a lot of sense. The way things sound at power forward, tough to really have any interest in anyone really below Jeremy Grant. The way things stand, like that's how ugly the position is. Maybe $4,900 Marcus Morris. That's the other guy who stands out. But Markkanen is someone on both sides. 4,500 on DraftKings. I like the way that price tag just because of no Daniel Tice. And some cheaper options below Markkanen. Yet again, Sadiq Bey has power forward eligibility, so another guy we can consider. Just a guy at 4,300.
James Johnson's 5,800 over on FanDuel. I just want to point that out. 5,200 on DraftKings, I can do that. 5,800 on James Johnson coming off of a ceiling game. Oh, I don't think I can click that button. Just can't do it. Obviously, I wouldn't have to do it if Zion was in, but you know what I mean. Let's round this puppy out. Top end of center. We've got Nikola Jokic 10,500 up there on DraftKings. Joel Embiid 10-2. I do expect him to play against Boston. He's going to get Robert Williams and Taco Fall for 5 minutes, basically, which is an enjoyable situation to be in if you're Joel Embiid. Got to enjoy that. Anthony Davis is continuing to be out. Domantas Sabonis questionable there. You have a lot of those guys with power forward center eligibility with Giannis and Zion smack dab in the middle of it there. But then Vooch, 8,700. Starting to come on a little bit of late with some games near the 50s. The 50 spot, 49.5 DraftKings points in 2 of his last 3. I like getting to a little bit of Vooch there at 8,700. Feels like a little bit discounted. And then Bam Adebayo, 8,300 against Memphis. I just can't really get myself to play any of these Miami Heat guys until their prices change. Talk to me a little bit about the top end of center.
Yeah, top end of center is it's loaded. The center position tomorrow, we got Giannis and Jokic over there in DraftKings. Love them both. Love Joel Embiid if he were to go. At 10-2, I'd expect him to play. Hopefully he gets over 30 minutes. Man, it's going to be a double center night over there on DK. Just looking at the studs alone. Spending down, obviously, Clint Capella, another option, just getting a ton of minutes when he's playing really, really well in those minutes that he gets, man. He put up 53 in 32 minutes in a matchup against Golden State. Now matchup against the Pelicans again. He played them the other night. He was limited, put up 43 and 29. So if he was even going to get mid-30s against this Pelicans matchup, you're going to like him for mid-40s at least. Spending down, I like Montrezl Harrell again, $6,100 a matchup versus Toronto. Miles Turner, $6,200. If there's no Sabonis, Miles Turner has put up some monster performance against Chicago in his career. Granted, Vooch was not in the picture, but I still think Turner could put up a massive upside performance tomorrow. And Chris Boucher, someone who I don't know how well he's doing. Someone who was very, very exposed to today. A ton of my center ownership went to him over there on FanDuel. I hope he's doing well. $5,800 over there on DraftKings is someone that we can consider. Zubac will get the Canner matchup. No Nurkic tomorrow. I like them both in the game. $6K and $5,400 per Canner and Zubac, respectively, on DraftKings. Make for fine considerations in that matchups. I like that quite a bit. Looking at DraftKings, obviously, you can spend up for Embiid and Jokic. You're saving $200 to Jokic in a matchup versus Detroit. We'll see how long Detroit can hang in against this Denver team, but that's someone we can take advantage of. Capella and Vooch, and $1,100 savings off to Vooch. I like that over there to go into Vooch on FanDuel. Montrezl Harrell, definitely in play yet again, $6,800. Miles Turner, $6,200. If no Sabonis is definitely standing out to me. And Canner again, and Boucher and Zubac. Similar center player pools for me on both sides, the way things stand right now. Really don't have much interest in anyone else below Chris Boucher tomorrow. That's the way how things stand. Now, obviously, if Embiid were to be ruled out, I will be interested in Dwight Howard against the Boston Celtics.
So playing Monday morning quarterback, or in this case, Monday evening quarterback, because it's Monday when we're recording this for your Tuesday. You've got Malachi Flynn with 44.2 at the min right now on FanDuel. That's hurtful. Killian Hayes, 38.1 at 0.1% ownership. So that's another thing on FanDuel to be looking at. If he were to end up getting the start, I was hoping he was going to get the start today because he would have been the only Detroit guy I would have had any interest in, period, other than... Well, I mean, from the backcourt. The front court, obviously, Isaiah Stewart was a complete smash. A little bit of Jeremy Grant, but looking at that. And then you've got, right now, Chris Boucher, 29.5. They just closed out that game. Toronto won 103-101. Boucher, 29.5. So that's not going to kill you a 5K, considering every center was garbage. There's nobody. 44.1 Towns right now with 2 minutes left in that game. We'll see if he doesn't go for 50. I mean, that's not going to hurt you. I think Alex Len might end up optimal at 3,900 with 31.6. That's just how fun this slate was today. Any final words for the people to round it out?
No. Thanks so much for tuning in yet again. Check out the Masters and MLB promos. And for those of you who miss out on those promos, we will be releasing a couple new packages in the near future. But don't miss out on this massive Awesemo.com sale we're having. 2 sports. For those prices, it's tough to beat. So definitely check those out. And we will be excited to be back here yet again tomorrow to talk about Wednesday slate.
It's always fun. For Ryan, I'm Eric. We'll see you tomorrow.